But I was out here for Super Bowl and I was listening to my people. And then I was out here as a local for the Super Bowl. And when I tell y'all, like, it was a lot. And even beforehand, I knew it was going to be a lot. And I told myself that I would not come across the river and I would let them people have it because Mardi Gras is right after. And so for me, it was like, yeah, have a good time. But please do us all a favor and, go home. Go home, girl. We glad y'all had a good time, but we really want y'all to go home. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that whenever they have events like that down here, there needs to be a blast email sent out to locals that provide them with some type of discount on price when it comes to things. Because to me, I don't think it makes any sense for me to pour money into businesses in New Orleans all year round. And then when some new people come in town, y'all start acting brand new. And now I have to pay inflated prices for shit that I shouldn't have to pay inflated prices for. So I just feel like next time y'all want to have a Super Bowl or a large attraction here in New Orleans, I feel like it needs to be like discounted for locals, discounted for people that already spend money here throughout the year, because you're already making more money off of locals than you're gonna make off the people that come here for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they might pay that little $40 once or twice, and I pay $12 at least 2-3 times a week, multiple weeks throughout the year. Okay. So yeah, I feel like there needs to be something that does not make the people who live here feel like they're out of place in their own city. Because I think for a few of us, we kind of had that vibe. Whether it was going to restaurants that we frequent, the prices of clubs, the prices of parking, just certain things that I feel like, yeah, do all of that for them people that's only here for this one time. But for the rest of us that constantly like put money into y'all pocket, I don't feel like we should be having to pay these exorbitant amounts of money for shit. Um, and that's just how I felt about it. Because at the end of the day, I'm not a hater. So everybody that was getting their money from the Super Bowl, that's great. I also feel like there's still something to be said for why do people have to sign up in order for their business to make money in the area that their business is in? Like, y'all shouldn't be blocking off access to certain businesses so that the only people that's really getting businesses are, the people that's in town. Like, that shit weird. So I feel like, they really be messing over the locals a lot of the times when we have opportunities like this, and it looks good for the city overall. But it's more so from the standpoint of tourism. And tourism is great and everything. But for most of the people that actually work in tourism, do they ever see that money? Do they ever really see that money? The people that's bussing tables and waiting on everybody and dealing with 50,000 fucking ignorant ass tourists all year round, do they really see the money that the city gets from something like the Super Bowl? Like, let me know, because it don't feel like it. It don't feel like it. It doesn't feel like that makes y'all pay people more. Like, they get tipped better. But all in all, I feel like there needs to be more like protections for the locals, and we need to see some of that money, because y'all only started fixing infrastructure when the Super Bowl was coming. Like, yes, they're always fixing streets because the streets were basically put on stone on top of marshland. So the ground is always sinking. So no matter what, there are always going to be issues when it comes to the streets in New Orleans, as long as you just keep putting pavement on top of marshland. And that's what people do here in New Orleans. They put pavement on top of marshland. So when y'all see sinkholes and y'all wondering why the street's so fucked up, that's why. Okay. Also, because New Orleans is a place that retains infrastructure from hundreds of years ago. So that's another part of this where you don't want to fuck with the, authenticity of the place, but it also needs a lot of work, because the things that they did back then really did not work well with the environment. Like, that's what happens when y'all let niggas out the prisons build, the area. Because please understand, historically in Louisiana, it was the people from European prisons that came down here and helped build this land up with the enslaved people. It was also imprisoned people from Europe. Okay. I feel like nobody knew what the fuck they was doing for real, for real. Like I don't know who he was listening to, but you know they didn't know what they was doing. Either way, Super Bowl. Super Bowl was a great weekend. Shout out to Winter from Love and Marriage DC. She invited me out. Her man Eddie had an event. They had a battle of the DJs on Thursday night, so I had VIP everything. It was great. I really enjoyed it. I feel like that's the only way I should ever go to any of these events. And shout out to the girls that saw me in a club and wanted a picture with me when they thought I was leaving. Because I came back inside, but I didn't see none of y'all. So I saw y'all dancing and shit. But by that time we having a good time. If I see you, yeah. So shout out to y'all. Okay. Next time, hit me up. Okay. But shout out to the girls that I saw at the club. I'm mad that I'm spacing on a girl name, but I'm bad with names. The girl that worked at Copeland's, who old man worked at the door down to the Republic. Shout out to her, okay? Because I didn't see her a few times and she always showed me love. So shout out to her. It was a lot of feeling love. Shout out to my tattoo artist, who is also a local artist down here named Courtney Co-Art. He did a huge mural. He's does all his artwork and everything. His artwork was actually in Harlem. So when I'm getting my tattoo done, we watching Harlem so we could see his artwork in the last couple of episodes that aired. So like it's shout out to my people. You know what I'm saying? Like shout out to everybody in New Orleans. I feel like I need to start it. Y'all know we're not finished, just to be clear. Like I have at least 2 more sessions, I'm sure. But I feel like I want to get more involved, period. You know what I'm saying? Just in general with the local of it all. It's a lot because I'm an introverted extrovert. I'm also a famous loner. Like a lot of people know me, but I'm always low key, on some, I might be by myself or with 2 other people, but I don't roll with big crowds and all of that. But I've always been like that. Like the people who know me, even in high school, y'all know how I got down. Everybody know me, but I ain't really in nobody click like that. So, just shout out to everybody. It was just nice. Okay. And I hope I get to see, everybody down to the M-Line ball. Okay. Shout out to my home girl. Shout out to Monet for hooking that up. So I'm gonna be down to the M-Line ball. Okay, listen, New Orleans people, I'm excited. All right. So let's get into this, right? Super Bowl tickets are exorbitant. I think that's another thing I wanted to discuss. The Super Bowl is the culmination of a bunch of games played by football players and teams. And the people that support that all year round are lower middle class people. There's nothing that a broke white man loves more than a beer and a goddamn football game. Okay. So when you look at the price for the culmination of the games and you see these prices for the Super Bowl, y'all, to me, that's another thing that showcases the elitism that is built off of poor people's backs. Because to me, it's wild as fuck that in real life, regular people buy tickets to football games. Regular people support the football games, but regular people can't afford the fucking Super Bowl. Yes. Yes. Yes, y'all. Cheapest tickets. 1600 might have been the cheapest that I saw. And that was the day of. To me, that's disrespectful to all of the poor white men that drink, crafts beer and be down to a sports bar because they could not afford these fucking tickets. Like that's crazy to me when you really think about it, y'all. It's really crazy. I don't care about sports like that. I'm not a sports fanatic. I love a good time. So I'm always down for the good time of it all. But essentially, I don't care about the Super Bowl. So a lot of people was like, Bondi, why you ain't do media? First of all, didn't nobody call me to do media. I work. I don't just go outside and start filming for free. I don't care to do that. No disrespect to nobody else. It's just not my way. If somebody won't pay me to do something, then I'll always show up for a check now. Okay. Or if it's something where it's like giving back, not back to you as an individual, but giving back to some people, organizations, New Orleans people, the young girls down to the school, all that shit, I'll do that shit for free. That's nothing. Okay. But at the end of the day, this shit was like a corporate event for whoever already was expected to be involved. for everybody who already could afford it. You know what I'm saying? And Tasha gonna tell me after the fact, talk about, girl, I could have got you in a suite. I said, well, you ain't say nothing. You knew it was down here. Why you ain't say nothing? Okay, listen. I ain't tripping because I really wasn't trying to go. I'm gonna tell y'all, I don't feel like dealing with all of that. Okay. But y'all's president was there. The first time ever that a sitting president uses billions of dollars to secure somewhere like the goddamn Super Bowl so that he could be there for a halftime show. I hope he was there for Kendrick's show. I really, really do. Because I think what people are missing about, you know, Kendrick's show is, and the thing, because I've been listening to a lot of people locally and outside, I enjoyed his show. I do feel like there was a moment in between where it slowed down, and I would have liked for them to have put other songs in that set list just a little bit. Like there was, a moment between Damn and Squabble Up, I think, where there was a slowdown that we didn't necessarily need. But all in all, I feel like his show was really good, and I like the visual of it. I also felt like people are speaking from the standpoint of not knowing what it is to actually be a performer. I think anybody that is really a performer, that knows what it's like to have to walk a field and rap your lyrics on a mic, sing your lyrics on a mic. To me, if there was a male rap version of what Beyonce does, that is what Kendrick did. So when everybody, even my mama was like, ain't no Beyonce. I'm like, well, he's not Beyonce. He's not a woman singing and shaking her tail feather. He is a conscious rapper that is using one of the biggest stages and examples of racism that anybody has ever seen, like football. Like, y'all can say what y'all want to, but y'all know racism is football is a microcosm of how racism really works, down from the owners to the niggas on the field, and then some of the niggas that's not making as much money. So then you got your difference between people who actually are playing on the field, but there's a house nigga, field nigga mentality amongst them. Because if you're not famous, if your old lady ain't Taylor Swift, if you not Jalen Hurts with the eyebrows and shit, then you may not be getting paid as much. You have to be on that field just as much and still may not be getting your pockets lined in the exact same manner, even though you're doing the same amount of work. So the whole football thing in itself is a capitalistic distraction. Okay. And I think if we're going to be using entertainment as a distraction, then I think it's so smart to inject some consciousness into the distraction. And I believe that that's what happened there. I think that another thing is that it takes a lot of balls to be so black in a stadium of people who are really white. And if it's not for the fact that they like some black football player that's attached to a team that they like, they are racist and they don't like black people. And if it's not hip, they don't know about black people or what black people are doing. Okay. So I think it was a huge statement. It took a lot of balls to make those types of statements about how black people are treated in this country, period. Samuel L. Jackson playing Uncle Sam, being a character to try to keep the niggas in line. Oh, that's what we like. Play the Luther song. Don't come up here with all of that turn his TV off shit. You know what I'm saying? So I personally felt like the thoughts and just the overall fuck you that took place. Because to me, that performance was a fuck you to every racist white person in that crowd. And there were a lot of them. And y'all literally paid tickets for this black man to tell y'all ain't shit. Like, I think that says a lot. I think that in a capitalist society, to make a whole bunch of racist white people pay to watch a nigga tell them they ain't shit, I think that we have to find our bright moments where we can. And I believe that is a bright moment. All right. Just as looking into the camera and saying, say Drake, and not having to say the pedo word, but we know, so we didn't care. And then having everybody all over the world at the same time saying a minor. Then him having a lowercase a on his chest. Okay. Then having Serena Williams come out there in foundation that matches her skin tone and a blonde that works with her skin tone. Y'all, so many good decisions were made in order for Serena Williams to come out and perform. And I saw Stephen A. Smith talking about, oh, she need to be worrying about her family. Nigga, I could worry about two things at the same time. Drake has repeatedly said things to disparage Serena Williams. I believe him and his fandom and say a little slick shit about her husband. So I believe her husband was perfectly fine with his wife crip walking on that nigga and the establishment that fined her and deducted points from her Wimbledon win because she crip walked after she won. Wasn't something that happened during the game. It happened when she was done working, and they still did that to her because any example or any showcasing of your blackness in a unapologetic way pisses some white person off. And so she got fined for that. Here she was able to do it. She was able to do it on this stage and looking at that nigga in the camera. To me, I love that moment. I love that moment. And I personally, and I said this on my Instagram live, I told Lyric as soon as the Super Bowl started, I said, why the fuck is Tom Cruise the announcer? Since when is Tom Cruise a good announcer? Who asked for that? Whose decision was that? I felt like the announcer should have been somebody with a real booming voice. I thought of Samuel L. Jackson. Mufasa's dead, so we, the old Mufasa, so we couldn't call him. He just died. James Earl Jones. That's one of the voices. Also, Larry Fishburne is a voice that we like to hear. Okay. We love to hear MC Light's voice. But personally, I feel like Samuel L. Jackson would have been a perfect person. I don't know if he could have done both, but to me, that was him. Came into my mind straight off rip. Sam should have did that shit. And then turns out he's an Uncle Sam performing in Kendrick's performance. Stay in line, nigga. I love that. I love that. Okay. So there were a lot of themes here. Samuel L. Jackson is Uncle Sam. Too loud, too reckless, too ghetto. Jackson said at one point, Mr. Lamar, do you really know how to play the game? Then tighten up. Okay, Jackson was dressed as Uncle Sam, a popular character that has historically symbolized the U.S., interjecting with commentary that felt representative of how America systematically views, monitors, and polices Black culture and people. American flag formation. This shit I loved. This was one of my favorite parts. During his performance of Humble, Lamar and his dancers, who were notably all Black men, formed what appeared to be an American flag split down the middle. Some interpreted this disconnected formation as a representation of the current state of America, while others said the dancers could also represent how this country was built on the labor of Black Americans. Americana symbolism and iconography were also thematically present throughout the rest of the performance. A call out of the revolution. A call out to the revolution. After the first song of the performance, Lamar chanted, "The revolution about to be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy." This quote could be interpreted as a direct call out to both the current state of America and President Trump, who is in attendance at this year's Super Bowl. So for him to even be there and say that they picked the wrong guy, listen, I feel like that's huge for that nigga to be sitting there and for somebody to be telling him you shouldn't have won that shit, puss ass nigga. Okay, I love that. A red, white, and blue wardrobe throughout the entire performance. Lamar, SZA, and the dancers were decked out in red, white, and blue colors. Another nod to the Americana symbolism presented throughout the show. Okay, the Great American Game, we saw this, okay? Because it looked like tic-tac-toe, but it also kind of reminded us of what's the shit? On Netflix, Squid Games. Poor people fighting to the death for a little bit of money just to be in a game, okay? Just to be in a game of a system that they won't win and they won't make it out alive most of the time. The reference to this game were made throughout the performance, including Uncle Sam asking Lamar if he really knew how to play the game, referencing culture cheat code, scorekeeper deduct one life. Because whenever we don't do something right, y'all get to kill one of us. And then that is used as an example to the rest of us about how to stay in line. That's why they're always putting our trauma all over the internet. Y'all remember the trauma porn that was going on every time you turned around? Somebody's posting a Black person getting killed or shot on the internet. Y'all remember when we were going through that? I also feel like this protester was a part of the performance. I just think they were prepared for this person to, like, whoever, we need somebody to do this. You'll take the, the hit for whatever happened. And somebody was like, yeah, nigga, I'll take it. I'll take the charge. This was intentional to me. The protester with the Sudan and Gaza flag. Yeah, that was a part, to me, that was a part of the show, especially because it was a black man. It wasn't somebody else. It was a black man. To me, that was a part of the whole thing. Okay. SZA's performance, Luther, and then the song All the Stars for Black Panther. I think that might have been a moment that it slowed down for me, the All the Stars moment. Okay. But then, the game over and all of that. People took to social media, blah, 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 blah. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought he did an amazing job. I love the statement that he made. Like I said, all of the different ways that he made statements. I think anybody that was hating on the show, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, right? I also want to play this for y'all. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. So if you didn't enjoy the show, if you don't like Kendrick, if he's too woke, which is the weirdest shit for black people to say, I feel like all black people never need to use the word woke the way white people use it, like as some type of sarcastic, bullshitty ass, oh, you're woke, like y'all are making fun of somebody for having an understanding of what's going on around them. Like, how do you make being awake a problem? Like, y'all are weird as fuck. The fact that you don't realize how you are showcasing how you want to control the masses by trying to make the word woke a slur, when what it means is to be aware, to be awake, to know what's going on around you, as to be a part of what's going on around you, and not just stick your head in the sand and act like it's not happening and allow your destiny to basically be given to you by other people. Like, understand. Understand what's going on around you. Like that's basically what this was about. And so I respect people that felt like, oh, it was too deep for them. They didn't like it. I think that, before I play that, let me see. I might have saved it. Yes, Jermaine Dupri says something great. He said, I'm happy as people saying they didn't like the halftime performance. Maybe we could get back to the separation of music and stop letting the internet gumbo everything. Real rap shit ain't never been for all y'all. Meaning that at the end of, like, yeah, I understood what he said. This was not a diss to Kendrick. This was saying that in real life, at the beginning, rap was something for the people that understood it. It wasn't something to be mass produced for everybody else to be a part of. Because black people can never have anything in this country, well, really anything anywhere that's for them, without somebody that lacks melanin come lurking in, pretending to be a friend so that they can hijack some shit. That's what normally happens with us, okay? But essentially, what he is saying is the real rap has always been low-key a different mindset, not the mindset of the masses. And so it is perfectly okay. And it is just right that some of y'all don't get it. It is just right that some of y'all don't understand it. Like, that's perfect, because it showcases that everybody is not on the same level with their wokeness, with how they think, with their intellectualism. Everybody's not on the same level. That's fine. That was made present. That's, made obvious to me by how a lot of people voted. That we not all, that the common sense I thought we had is not common at this point. You know what I mean? It's not common. So yeah, I appreciate this. Yes, rap, not hip hop, soul music, message music. Okay. And to me, hip hop and rap are essentially the same thing, except for you want to call it something different. Because at some point, I feel like hip hop was more enlightened. Rap became more about struggle and street, and it took a turn. You know what I'm saying? Whereas hip hop at the beginning, you talking about enlightening people, like making them understand more about their history. That was another thing that took place a lot more in music back in rap music in its infancy, was artists being smart, artists being the children of the Black Panther Party. So these are the children that have read the books. These are the children that know what really happened. And so they tell us the true story in the music. I think we're all confused about the school system. The school system has never been telling us the truth. It's just the fact that a lot of us had other ways, you know what I'm saying? Other ways of getting the truth of the information. And rap hip hop was a way to do that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, shall I think about Arrested Development, De La Soul, all them niggas like really back in like the early 90s. Like they really were trying to teach you something with the music that they made. The shit is different now, and that's why it's all a distraction. It was meant to like put some smart shit in there for y'all to help y'all. Like that's what it was meant for. But let's get into this because I thought this was fascinating as well.
So in my opinion, the most underappreciated part of the Super Bowl performance is Samuel Jackson as Uncle Sam. Like, yes, he's a famous actor, but I'm assuming most of y'all don't know that this man used to be so radical that he once held MLK's father as a hostage as a part of a protest. And just to be clear, I'll say that again. This is MLK Jr., and Samuel Jackson held MLK Sr. as a hostage. So back in 1969, Samuel Jackson was a student at Morehouse College. At that time, he and other students locked the Board of Trustees, which included MLK Sr., in a room. They refused to let any of them go until they addressed the deep racial inequities that existed at the school. Now, even though Morehouse is an HBCU, it was still mostly run by white men, and its leadership structure was disconnected from the needs of Black students in the local Black community. In his own words, Jackson said, "Morehouse was breeding politically correct Negroes. That was their trip. They was into making docile Negroes. We wanted a Black studies department, but they wouldn't do it." And in case it's not obvious, the tension between a young Jackson and these trustees should sound familiar. Because what was the tension between Kendrick Lamar and Jackson's character at the Super Bowl performance? Now, going back to the story, in the building while locked up, MLK Sr. started to have chest pains, and Jackson had to make a tough choice. But instead of giving up, opening the doors, and letting everyone out, they instead just decided to lower MLK Sr. out of a window so that they could continue the protest and keep the other trustees inside. They weren't backing down for any reason. They eventually won, and the board agreed to a lot of their demands, including creating a Black Studies program. But Jackson and the other protest leaders were suspended from the school. Both before and after this moment, Jackson had done a lot of civil rights work. He was an usher during MLK Jr.'s funeral, and he later befriended Stokely Carmichael and other Black Power movement leaders. And this literally went so far that Jackson was buying guns and preparing for armed resistance against the United States government. This was until the FBI threatened him with death and Jackson's mother forced him to leave Atlanta. Now, decades later, the same man who fought against the establishment is now embodying it as Uncle Sam in the Super Bowl performance. That's a full circle moment. Because on one hand, we should know that Jackson does not represent the ideals of this character in his real life. But on the other hand, it forces us to ask, what happens when revolutionaries grow older and sometimes become representative of the same establishments that they once fought against? Whether it's because of trauma, wisdom, or other lived experience, why do they sometimes do everything they can to mold the youth to be more acceptable, as Jackson's character does in this performance? Well, that was my takeaway, but I want to hear yours.
That, y'all, that was like top notch to me. I had no idea about that. So shout out to Samuel L. Jackson, who has always been one of my favorites. Like, I've always loved him. So I was excited to see him. I love that Black history lesson for us, girl, because we didn't know. All right. And with that being said, let's get into the remainder of the topic.